vast majority. Okay, guys, it's okay. Zest is here. Zest is here. All right. It's okay. The day is saved. The day is saved. Okay. Woo. All right. The day is saved, and we can just focus up on the games. Perfect. As we get this ready to go. Bottom left-hand side, our blue Zerg player is Ragnarok. As we get this up and ready to go, our red Terran on the top right-hand side, it is INnoVation. So we can focus up on a bit of TvZ for the start of the day, guys. We've basically got 4 players who will all play against each other today. INnoVation, Ragnarok, Zest, and Parting. So, yeah, 4 players who are all here, all playing today. Basically, what we did with the Spring Championship, just to give you guys a quick little intro, we obviously had to delay it due to TSL qualifiers. And once we delayed it due to TSL qualifiers, I had to relook at the schedule because of GSL round of 16. Because obviously a lot of these guys are in GSL round of 16. So what I've done is I believe I've created a schedule where no player has to play anybody they play in GSL before they play them, or if they do play them before they play them, it's at least a week in advance, and nobody has to play the day before they play in GSL at all. So basically, each of these guys now plays 2 of the remaining 3 play days. Usually we have, like, you know, everyone showing up and they play 2 matches a day. Now we're going to do, each player has like 2 play days over 3 different days, today, tomorrow, and next Friday. So you guys can... so basically, the schedule is on Wikipedia. You guys can check it out. I believe it basically just fixes any GSL scheduling issues. I think it just makes that kind of a big, you know, smiley face all around for us. And none of the players have complained yet, so kind of happy. It was a bit of a task, but I feel like I've made it. And the most impressive thing is that everybody plays like the same amount of days, so it actually doesn't like screw one guy over. Like, okay, I think one guy has to play like 4 matches one day, where some guys might play 2 matches one day, and like, or 3 and 3 or something. But in the grand scheme of things, it's very well figured out compared to what I thought it was going to be. So I hope we're going to be okay. I hope it's going to turn out all right. Obviously, just doing some StarCraft juggling, basically, with different tournaments and stuff like that. So just wanted to give you guys a rundown, because I know this event has been delayed, and now the match orders might have changed from what you were expecting and stuff like that, you know, a couple of weeks ago. So just wanted to let you guys know what happened there. This is INnoVation Ragnarok, though, and obviously we've seen a pretty standard start, a little bit of a slowdown on the 3rd hatchery, and a very fast 3cc from INnoVation. And that pretty much catches us up with what happened in the first 3.5 minutes of the game. As not too much is going on elsewhere. The first couple of Hellions are on the way out. Rallies 1 to the Reaper. Wait, where's this one going? This... Okay, why is one Hellion going across the map and the other is not? That's very different. Did he not see the 3rd hatchery yet? Okay, I could understand if maybe he just wants to take the watchtower without putting himself at risk of a run-by. Okay. I thought at first maybe he wants to double-check the 3rd hatch is there, but because he's seen no 3rd hatch, he might say, okay, well, if this is a roach attack, I want to see that roach attack coming across the map. So just takes the watchtower with 1 Hellion. It also means that if he gets caught off guard, it's only 1 Hellion he's going to lose. The rest of the Hellions at home, and that might just be as well, he's just afraid of the fact there's a potential Zergling run-by. He did see a lot of Zerglings in the early game, so it may very well just be like, oh, you already made that many Lings, maybe you'll try and make use of them. So I think just a fairly safe play here for INnoVation, as we do just see the Hellion on the way up to the top side. So Hellion pulling up to the top, is going to be moving into the top of this. There's a few more Hellions coming in, another Zergling getting roasted, and a couple of engineering bays from INnoVation coming down to the right-hand side of this natural. So just getting a couple of extra engineering bays up and running, a few Hellions still joining up together as well. And INnoVation bringing a Viking around this left-hand side is going to go picking away at this Overlord a little bit. So Overlord is going to get taken down and just going to have our 1-1 melee upgrades continuing to come on through. Stimpack on the way up. All the Marines obviously still pouring out. And everything all together looking pretty good across the board. I think no one's really too far behind or too far ahead of the other. We've got the a lair on the way up and 1-1 melee upgrades. Obviously, prioritizing the melee upgrades will mean we see a bit of a later baneling speed. So maybe that first 1-1 push can be a bit scary for an INnoVation like we got. I mean, the 1-1 push is always scary in some way. Either your opponent has 1-1 and you have 0-0, or your opponent has a push and you don't have bane speed. So it's kind of like one of those things you just have to accept. You kind of take one or the other. And at this point, Zergs are very comfortable playing a mixture of those styles. I mean, bane speed starts now at 70 seconds. Not going to be too far off bane speed finishing when this attack comes. So it's not going to be super crazy or anything along those lines. As Reaper comes out, takes the watchtower. Behind just poking out the front, a little bit of creep coming forwards, and we do see a few queens just hanging around them, a couple of medevacs on the bottom side. I'm gonna go boosting across toward this main base, an extractor building up there, and well, still again the Hellions just kind of hanging around at the front of the queens, sat there like quite nicely. It's gonna have our Viking picking away at this Overlord, so Overlord will go down. Nice little pick off, as we do see the armory is already on the way up in the back of the natural expansion, so getting the armory up and running, as we do see 2 engineering bays dropping down on... sorry, 2 engineering bays, 2 depots just added onto the third. This first push then didn't really do too much, but now he is going to push with kind of a second wave. The extra siege tanks actually joining up with him this time around, so... yeah, INnoVation going to get sieged on this high ground, and that's going to be a very tricky spot to fight. Now, this hatchery is not going to go down very quickly. So you've got a little while here as INnoVation before Ragnarok makes the move to... well, basically surround and kill off this army, right? So you've got a little while as Ragnarok to basically make this happen, but INnoVation is going to force it to happen at some point. It's just how long do you wait? Well, probably around about now, because a few more tank shots in this hatchery does go down. So here we go from 2 sides. INnoVation, there's nowhere really good to split to, so he's just going to try and load up the Marines, but I do fear that he didn't pick up quite as many Marines as he was hoping for. I think he was expecting to maybe get just a handful more there. Just wasn't quite able to make that happen, unfortunately. So, yeah, just didn't quite get as many up as perhaps expected. All good, though, as we do have these couple of tanks going to siege up again, and Marines already coming forwards, trying to go after the extractor. A lot of lings running into this. Tanks need to get those couple of banelings. One of them will get through, but, wow, the tank's really acting as a, well, quite literally as tanks as well, just soaking up some of that damage, then really just creating a wall for the Marines to kind of put their backs against, so they can actually just never get fully surrounded. And those lings have not been trading well, and at this point, this is really bad for Ragnarok, because now you've got multiple attempts of cleaning this out without being successful. Every time you don't clean this up and you don't clean this out, as Ragnarok, it's just so expensive. You're falling further behind. You're not mining from a 4th base. Well, you don't have a 4th base anymore. You know, it's all of these little things. As the meters come out, looks like they wanted to initially try and maybe intercept some of these Marines or so. There's just going to be seeing more Marines and tanks coming down, and Ragnarok's just going to tap out of the game, as it's going to be INnoVation taking the first map of this best of 3. Hey, thank you so much for some. Though I'd say it's easier for that to happen in TvT than TvZ, per se. Yeah, of course you do lose from ahead sometimes. INnoVation is very, very good, and we just know in general the Terran players at the moment, once they get a lead, it's very hard for the Zerg to break that lead. It's very, very difficult for Zerg to break that advantage, because it's like a real mechanical matchup, right? So you're basically saying, hey, my mechanics are so much better than yours, I can beat you from behind. Like, and that's just crazy, because then you've got to just have way better mechanics, and to have way better mechanics is very tough. Because when I say mechanically, you know, demanding, it's, as this is proxy to Iraqs, obviously you guys can see this. Like some other matchups have a bit more like strict, you know, mechanics maybe don't play as much of a role versus like the strategy or the way that you play it out or the setup that you use or the army movement. In TvZ, it's pretty much a case of I'm gonna, you know, Zergs are gonna run Ling Bane at you, and they're gonna smash into your economy and shut you down. and you're going to try and get big pushes going to trade out with the Zerg and to try and shut down their bases. And that's all, and it's just so mechanically demanding because you're fighting creep spread, you're fighting, you're dealing with multi-pronged harassment, you're consistently reproducing and going again and again. So again, it's very hard to come back from either side, really, in ZVT when one player gets that little bit further ahead, because it really takes kind of like a larger screw up. As you see our SCV to the bottom right, having a little bit of a look to see what's going on in the natural expansion. Is just going to start up a bunker there. As the drone pulls back, a couple of Marines already on the way out. They're going to be popping and continuing across to this right-hand side. So they're just going to come running over to the right. A few drones already surrounding this bunker. It's going to be a cancel already. Another bunker starting. The spine crawl at the front will just build as well. So again, defense is already established. Here's the couple of Marines move in, and another bunker has to be cancelled. Drones, a little bit of back and forth and really thinking about what they might be able to do here. They kind of want to go for it. You can see it in their eyes. And they do start moving forwards now as the Marines will continue to kite backwards. Ling's looking for that surround as the drones are pulling in with them. Obviously really meant to deny the bunker during this, and that's exactly what he does. But you've also got to remember, this is a lot of lost mining time. Actually doesn't really get any worker kills. Doesn't get a single one. That's really nice for Ragnarok, not losing a single worker. I actually like this, because while it's a lot of lost mining time, the Terran will go home and try and transition. I feel like usually INnoVation gets like 5 or 6, maybe not 5 or 6, but like, 4 or 3 or 4 or 5 maybe worker kills. And if you get that, imagine INnoVation being up like 3 or 4 workers now. That's kind of crazy, right? INnoVation lately has really enjoyed following this up with a medevac and a Hellion drop into sometimes BCs, and then like Hellbats in general, and just obviously like more kind of straight up just mech, really. So we'll see what he wants to do here, and we'll see what his options. I mean, his options are really anything. He can do what he wants. He's not really like far behind so that he has to, he must play defensively or something. That is a fast lair from Ragnarok, so he's not going to move out to take the third base. Maybe he's just looking to end this game early, but INnoVation gets such a quick scout on this. I mean, you get straight in here, you see double gas being taken, lair on the way up. I mean, you're looking at this and assuming mutalisks. I mean, muters off. I guess we're going up to 30 true drones now, but I feel like this is very early even for 2-base mutalisks. So definitely something to be watching out for, is these couple of queens hitting up this barracks, and the Rax definitely taking some damage. As the Rax goes flying out over towards the natural expansion, will be hanging around up there. A couple of Hellions from INnoVation will be finishing up, and we're going to have a few of these all joining up together on the main base. So lots of Hellions joining up as the couple of queens will continue to just work their way through this Rax, and a good amount of damage will be done to it. So Rax looks as though it will go down in the next few moments, as you have the queens just able to clean that up, basically. So that's where we're at. Waiting for this drop to come across the map. It will be the 4 Hellions. So it will be Stim behind this as well, though. So he's going to go just the Hellions. He's not going to go into a battle cruiser or like a Hellbat attack after this. Just the Hellion drop into Bio as a follow-up here on Nightshade. I mean, it is Nightshade, remember? Proxy T-Rexon's kind of funny on Nightshade in the first place, I guess, worth mentioning, because obviously Nightshade is this map which we always talk about how good it is for Terran players. So to see the Terran just being like straight up like overly aggressive on the first, on the Terran map, obviously that's kind of crazy. As a couple of drones go down here already, some Lings getting roasted as well. These Hellions all the way up. This is generally the issue. You just don't have the Ling count to really deal with this. 6 drones is again not bad, but now you're still staying around the worker count of the Terran player rather than taking something of a significant lead. So it's a little bit interesting. INnoVation does not know it's a Spire, but he's also still aware of the fact that this is 2 bases, right? So he knows it's 2 bases, he knows it's all there, and if it was a Nidus, he would have seen roaches already. He would have seen the Nidus in his base by now. It's way too late to be a Nidus, so at this point I think he already knows it's just going to be Mutalisks. Ragnarok has actually got the gas ready, but he just doesn't have the minerals to actually make the Mutas right now. What a problem that is. And you can't make your gas-intensive units because you don't have the minerals. I mean, he's just focusing on droning. That's kind of his issue, right? Like, he still had to build the 3rd hatchery. His drone count, we mentioned, is not great. He's going to start +1 flyer attack now. You know what the thing is for Ragnarok as well is that he really needs these mutas to do damage though. And so the longer he waits, the less likely obviously becomes that these mutas are going to do damage, right? And that's obviously not really that, that's kind of terrifying. As we do see a spine crawler. We'll move out to the front here. Hatchery down on the low ground on the third base location. Just seeing a few lings already moving out. One of them out into the middle of the map. Mutas continuing to build. +1 flyer attack and carapace continuing up. And all of these mutas into the center here as we do see in orbital. Just as part of the wall off is going to lift off and come down to the low ground also. Mutas will fly into a missile turret and then pick off an SCV. No, not quite. Marines coming over and the mutas will get pushed back. The orbital landing down onto the third base. So getting that down as the 1-1 upgrades and the combat shields continue through. Combat shields already finishing. And then there's that Baneling Nest from Ragnarok in the main. Just getting that Baneling Nest up and running. I mean, that's late as well, right? So the mutas haven't really done much here right away. The Baneling Nest is going to be late. And it already feels like Ragnarok is in a lot of trouble as he tries to get himself out of a supply block. You've seen that Mutalist is still trying to find openings, and that's basically where you're stuck at right now as Ragnarok. You're stuck trying to find openings in a world where you need damage, but damage isn't exactly coming very... you're not finding that damage very quickly at all, so it's a little bit tough as the mutas fly back around the left-hand side here. Missile turret shoots. Marines and a tank pressing forwards. +2 attack, +2 armor upgrades, 1-1 melee upgrades continuing in, and still the mutas of Ragnarok. I'll come around to the top side. These Marines will continue to stem forwards. Mutas do get pushed away up to the top side. And they're going to go flying into the main where a few Marines and a medevac lie in wait. Masato gets picked up and Marines continue to stem over and the Mutas will back away into the middle of the map. Where there's more Marines chasing them. And on the plus side, the mutas are kind of keeping the Terran player at home. So that's something, right? All of this group spread is getting up because there's not really much to... there's not really much kind of brave enough to move on the map to stop it. Obviously, you still have a big 2-2 push of the Terran to deal with at some stage, but at least you're not taking any more damage before that happens. It's just, again, how slow is everything getting set up here for, for Ragnarok, right? The 4th hatchery is very late here. It feels pretty tough as the 2-2 continues to tick along. The lateness of the 4th, and then you look at the drone count because it's just 3 bases of saturation. You just want to be a little bit better off than that, basically, as the mutas and take an opportunity to try and fight. He's going to try and come in with the lings on the ground and then use the mutas to just snipe some medevacs. Marines will make their way back up to the top. Widow Mines, Libs, and Marines all in the production tab there as lings and mutas are maybe going to go darting across again. Going to find an SCV already. So an SCV already gets taken down. Tank will fire and the Marines, and the Zerglings, sorry, get picked away at. A few more lings just continuing to come up here as we do have our army of Ragnarok back around over the left-hand side. It's looking as though it might want to go diving in. Sensor tower, a prime initial target, is actually going to get taken down. So, yes, the sensor tower. INnoVation's not looking to win this off one big push, and I think he realizes that to do, to have done that, he would have needed to clean up some more creep and to make some more progress on the map before now. So I think he realizes that and says, okay, well, I'll just take the 4th base, a second factory and drill and close this game. And I'll just, play out a more macro-focused game, which, again, is not the sort of thing you usually see a lot of the time on Nightshade. Nightshade is usually this map where you see, fight after fight. Terran player attacks, and the Terran player just never stops once they start attacking. And it's just absolutely non-stop, basically. It's a little bit crazy as an SCV gets taken down. These mutas gonna get rid of this supply depot. Another supply depot picked off. I'm just gonna see our mutas continue now down to the bottom side here. Marines and medevacs still joined together in the center. And a lot of lings of Ragnarok up on the top, ready to run by into the 3rd or the 4th base. I'm going to take a Widow Mine shot here. Of course, one Widow Mine is not the end of the world. You lose a Mutalisk, which sucks, but, you know, his splash damage doesn't really matter until you then fly into all the Marines and, you know, a little bit bruised up. Of course, you just shouldn't be flying into those Marines. Making plenty of Overseers. He doesn't have Overlord speed, though. It's on the way. I think he realized as well that he probably needs that so he can keep an Overseer with the Mutalisks at this point. If there's Drilling Claws, Widow Mines on the map, it's, you know, you never know how quickly INnoVation can set up a position with Widow Mines, so you need to always know what you're running into. Hey, Ragnarok really made a game out of this. I think the Mutalisk count in the end did what we want to see the Mutalisk count doing, which is create enough danger on the map that the Terran was never really able to press forwards. I didn't realize INnoVation had built so many Liberators, though, and those Liberators are absolutely looking to fight against the Mutalisks. We've seen Liberators more frequently lately as used as the Widow Mines get blown up by Banes. We've seen Liberators more recently be used as a kind of a way to fight higher Mutalisk counts, and that seems to be exactly what's happening here. Man, I like the idea of this Ling Bane run by, but there is actually just a trail of Widow Mines into this, and Ragnarok's like, oh my god, there actually is. He loses the first couple Lings, and then he's scared to go a bit too much further in. He's got a 5th base up to the right side, still good creep up the top. Obviously, the creep in the very center being cleaned up now as INnoVation presses forwards into that position. Few Marines will stand to the side. Creep team is already going down. Widow Mines will burrow. And the Marines, Liberators, and Medivacs in the center here. Well, a lot of Lings are going to start running into this. Going to get surrounds on a lot of these Marines. A couple of the Lings already moving forwards. And the Widow Mine's able to connect on just one Ling or so. Creep team is pushing up that right-hand side as the Ling is going to go running forwards again and going to get hit by the Widow Mine. Those Widow Mines are scary to push into as well. That's just Banelings finding everything over here. Okay, well, that was a complete shutdown for Ragnarok as INnoVation goes running, and the Liberator is getting caught too. That's massive because now you take away a big threat for the Mutalisks, and the Mutalisks are going to be that much better off in the near future now, because they're not going to have to be worried about that. Oh my god, more Banelings showing up and just going to chase. Okay, well, there's actually just so many Banelings in this army of Ragnarok. I have no idea how he's afforded this many Banelings. He's got 55, and that's after he's crashed into what felt like pure Baneling armies into this Terran army. What? I mean, INnoVation, I think, just got too afraid of the mutas. I think it was all well and good sitting back and being afraid, but he never got on the map. And so Ragnarok's just overtaken the map now and built up a crazy good army, and well, now he's finally finding a base over here that's not actually protected, so these Banes are going to go rolling in. They're going to go straight for this planetary fortress to shut that down. I mean, there's, yes, another command center right next to it, but even still, just chasing SCV. He's going to find some Widow Mines on his way in. The SCVs don't know where to go. In the end, the Banes go down. I mean, that was kind of expensive, because that was about like 2.5 times the Baneling count you actually needed to get rid of this base. At the same time, the mutas show up on the left side, and there's just nothing here. The Marines start coming in now, but it's already lost mining time. It's already 4 SCV kills. And in a world where you're kind of needing a bit of everything you've got, because you've got no bank and the Zerg does, you know, a little bit of lost mining time and a few SCV kills goes a long way to helping Ragnarok out. So, yeah, mutas back around into the center. 51 more Banelings in production from Ragnarok, so continuing through, a bit more Ling Bane up to the top. Creep teamers will continue to spread forwards here for Ragnarok as well, so continue to push that out the front as we do see our Marines stemming through. Just going to see the few mutas around to the side, and our 2 Liberators still just producing. They're going to be finishing up and heading in as well as, oh, I don't know why. I think that was a major Widow Mine. This Widow Mine has 23 kills, and I almost want to believe that we got here just as all of those kills were Banelings. Usually you don't see a Widow Mine surviving when it shoots off on Banelings, but something about that one meant it did. Planetary Fortress will go down on the left as, again, this is kind of the state of DVT I kind of talked about at the start of the game when I was talking about getting back into the game from behind. And that is that you're basically, you know, you're basically playing from behind, right? Like, you're basically, like, once you get, like, ahead, once you get ahead, you can just keep mechanically being better and then crashing your opponent's economy down. And it just becomes very difficult to get back on top of. So INnoVation is holding on here, but what he really needs is that one moment to try and find something, a way to trade that gets him back into this. Unfortunately, every time these Banes crash in, I feel like they do a very good job, because at the very least, it feels like they're at least landing in on like Widow Mines and stuff and cleaning out that count. we do have the Bioforce from INnoVation back around into the center. A few group teamers being picked away at, and just going to see this Bio still pressing forwards. Changelings getting picked off very quickly here. Resources lost 19,000 to the 15.7. Ultra moving through, snipes down a Widow Mine right away there. A couple more Banes connecting, and the Widow Mine goes down as well. INnoVation wants to pull back out to the right side, as we do have a couple of Ultras just continuing through, and the Bio pretty quick to just keep these Ultras at bay, so making sure the Ultras don't get too far forward. A couple medevacs of INnoVation just up into the middle, and I'm just going to see the +1 missile attack upgrade on the Evolution Chamber on that far right-hand side. With the Ultralisks out, life should theoretically become a bit easier for the Zerg. We've got a better army to fight with. Widow Mine's getting burrowed right on top there, but they did get killed off. The Overseer was there. This is an orbital top right, so not something you can really fall back to help you defend. There's also Banes just crashing in to kill this base off on the far left, so that goes down. And INnoVation is going to find himself on an army, but no economy. And at that point, it's maybe just time where you just have to go, but obviously just full-on committing across the map against this Zerg that has Ultras and Banes. It never feels like a good idea, probably because it never really is a good idea. Ragnarok has 34 more Banelings on the way up. And INnoVation somehow win this fight. Because Widow Mine shot goes off into the center, it feels like. A couple of Widow Mines are just running around here too. Overseer's running forwards, trying to soak up as many Widow Mines as they can, and the Ultras are just not going to be stopped. And as you load up into these medevacs, the Mutalisks on top of them, well, where are you meant to go? I mean, you want to try and unload here somewhere, but where do you actually unload to make this work? You just don't, quite frankly. As Banelings keep on crashing in, and that's going to be the GG called. INnoVation taps out to give Ragnarok game number 2 after 18.5 minutes. Ragnarok takes the 1-1 tied up position in this best beginning as we get ready to jump into game number 3 of Ragnarok and INnoVation. Pick this up and get this going in the beautiful map of Simulacrum. In the top left-hand side, our blue Zerg player is Ragnarok. Tied up 1-1 in the bottom right side. Our red Terran player, it is INnoVation. So just to kind of catch you guys up, because I'm also a little bit out of where these guys are. Ragnarok actually only played 1 match in this tournament before now, and he's 0-1. Lost out to Sue in the TvZ. INnoVation is 1-1. He beat Cure but lost to TY. Obviously, this is kind of like a big 8-player group, and top 6 advance. Top 2 get a much better seed into the next round, though. So it's yeah, it's kind of an important set of games here, I guess. I mean, all of these games are important, but obviously by the end of the day, INnoVation will have played 5 of his 7 matches in this group. And that's kind of a big deal, actually. You know, that's actually a really big deal. So we'll see how that ends up. As we get this up and running, the orbital on the bottom right-hand side, we do see the SCV of INnoVation out to the upper left, a Reaper starting up, and the command center dropping down in the natural. Just going to see this SCV being chased, or chasing up to the top left-hand side, so it's going to be moving across to get a little bit of a scout off in the early stages. So hatch, gas, spawning pool. There's a Ragnarok who is in a position where, you know, I mean, obviously he's only lost 1 match, but it would be really nice to already get 1 on the board, so he's 1-1. I mean, it feels way better to try and play your way into this group from being 1-1 than being 0-2 naturally. I mean, what if you go 0-2 and then you lose another game today? You've gone already on 3 match losses, puts a lot of pressure on you for tomorrow. It's very difficult. As the Reaper comes in, a Feelings taking some damage. What's up, Pronos? Thank you so much for the Twitch Prime sub for the 3-month resub. Much appreciated. Thank you so very much, as we do have the Reaper. On the left side, you can see a third hatch is building up from Ragnarok already in the Reaper. A little bit of extra damage here and there, a couple drones on the way up. Factory is building from INnoVation. It's number 2. This is always something that gets me. I'm so glad I actually clicked on this because I always, for whatever reason, just miss this second factory in production. And actually being able to see it, it's like, okay, well, now I know exactly what's going to happen, right? Because this is going to be Blue Flame on the way. And as Blue Flame gets going, that's going to be a pretty huge attack. You know, this Blue Flame Hellbat attack, it's really big if Ragnarok doesn't scout. And Ragnarok is not building in toward Overlord speed. He's got one Overlord on the very top of the natural. That's unlikely to get all the way in here. It's very hard to identify this, but he goes for a Roach Roar, and that's a blind counter from Ragnarok. Wow. I wonder how aggressive he gets. I know Ragnarok and INnoVation have actually played each other quite a lot in events lately, Yalima leagues and stuff, but I don't know actually how... Yeah, I'm actually a little bit unsure as to how much, you know, maybe INnoVation does this build. I know he's been doing it a fair amount, enough that it's not even too surprising to see him cracking out a second factory. But I wonder if it's something that Ragnarok's just picked up on the fact that he likes to do on Simulacrum or something, and maybe just Simulacrum is the map where Ragnarok wants to roach all in, because that seems to be the drill here, right? A lot of roaches on the way up already. A couple of creep tumors now building. And INnoVation going to go take his medevac and 2 Hellions across the map. So the one good thing I will say here is that at least you have the armory, and the armory can help out a lot against the roaches, because at least then you can build... at least then you're ending up building, you know, Hellbats to fight the roaches rather than just the Hellions. So it does work a little bit better. The scout from INnoVation doesn't really reveal anything as he gets into the main. This is really nice though. Just the 4 Hellion drop, the run by, very similar to what we saw following the Proxy 2 racks in the last game. This game, the roaches are just way out of position to deal with this. Obviously, they're in the middle of the map. The Hellions see that. You'd really like to get some damage done here. Well, actually, this is where maybe I guess Hellbats can actually excel. Is that going to come in, fight a Queen off creep? It will go down already, and yeah, it definitely feels like there's some potential to fight this. As over the map, here's our Hellbats starting to fight these few roaches. A couple of Marines fighting as well, and yeah, I mean, obviously, as far as the Hellbats go, they're very replaceable, right? So anything as long as you kind of stop the damage from happening. The Blue Flame now done, and the Zergling is going down here in the main. But the Queen's got on top of that medevac, and it seems as though eventually the Hellbats will then go down. Still nice to keep the Lings over here, though, right? So the Lings aren't reinforcing this attack across the front. With the siege tank about to be done, it does feel like we're just a couple moments away from realistically having a hold on this. But still we'll have a pretty nice hold as we do see a couple of supply depots picked up. Hellbats wanting to press forward. There's a few more corrosive vials, and we do see the bunker is actually not going to get barred down there. First tank behind it, and INnoVation will hold on. So it's kind of funny how it works out, right? Because INnoVation's aggressive attack doesn't really ever take off. And it just becomes kind of... Well, it's not an ideal defense. It's still a stronger defense than some of the other styles, weirdly enough. Because you do just have a lot of units, and Hellbats are very tanky, and it takes roaches a lot of time to kill them. So you actually have a lot of time to prepare. So it turns out to be okay here for INnoVation. I mean, he's down 16 workers, yes. And I think that's obviously a major problem. He doesn't actually have a third CC. At least he's alive, right? And maybe I'm just looking on the too positive side of this, where it's like, oh, he's alive, great. Maybe he needs something more. But of course, he still has these Hellions to run by and harass, and I don't think it's impossible to say that INnoVation is going to be able to trade out to bring the worker count a little bit more, you know, closer to where you can really handle it in a longer game. These first few Hellions already straight in, 7 kills. Main base Hellions do get taken down, but lost mining time. Okay, INnoVation just says, you know what, Wardy, you are so fucking wrong. You are actually so wrong. I feel insulted. You think I have a chance in this game. I'm done. This is how dead I am. Well then. Okay, well, you know, I'm just being Mr. Positivity over here, and INnoVation is just like, no, absolutely not. Absolutely not a chance. My goodness. Ragnarok takes it 2-1. And, there's going to be GG.